Hello, everyone. Good to be back with you once again. We have another young Indian with us as part of the Voice of the Young series. Uh, right now, we have with us Paavni Dewan. Let's listen to her. Over to you, Paavni.
Thank you so much, sir, for that wonderful introduction. Um, I'm Paavni. I'm a recent graduate from Lady Shri Ram College for Women, Delhi University, as recent as 1 week ago, so fairly new. I pursued my bachelor's in BA program, specializing in mathematics and computer applications from the college, and I'll I've been lucky enough to secure a placement, and I think in another month I shall be joining a management consulting firm as an associate consultant. So that is what my career path looks like right now ahead of me. During college, again, I had the privilege of being involved in a lot of activities and in a lot of societies, as DU is notoriously famous for the society culture. And I had the privilege of heading the MUN society at LSR, and we managed to accomplish a few things I am proud of, which I hope to elaborate on, during the course of this Vidped session. I hope I'm pronouncing it right.
Yeah.
And yes, I think that's about me. I still don't know. I'm in a very peculiar position right now, sir, because I've just graduated. I've, in fact, just flown into my hometown this morning. So it's still wearing off. All the friends have left the city of Delhi. They've gone to their respective hometowns or are prepping for their journey ahead. And we're not quite accustomed to, or we don't know how to anticipate how, like, life will look like going forward from here. So we're also in a state of ambiguity, but I think being excited is important. And I just, hope to have, because I think college is a very steep learning curve from all of us. We get to interact and meet with so many new people. I just hope, during the course of my journey here on, I'm also able to, chart the same course. So I think that's about me to begin with. Apart from that, I belong to the city of Lucknow. I had the privilege of doing my schooling from a very well-known institution in the city. It's called La Martiniere Girls College. They also have a branch at Calcutta. So, and they also have one in France, actually, in case anybody is familiar with. I have to, I'm sorry to admit this. It's not something I'm proud of as someone who is from the Lucknow branch, but the Calcutta branch is better known of the college. So I think that's about me. And I think I've always been a studious child until I think the eighth grade, where I discovered extracurricular activities and then I just couldn't get enough of it. And I think that's something that's stayed with me throughout because, of course, having knowledge is very important. But I think the confidence to present yourself in front of other people and to talk and to put your point across is a skill that permeates all domains, right? Regardless of what profession you go into, it's something you're going to need. And I think that sort of ability and confidence I hope been able to build through the extracurricular activities that I've pursued, whether it's MUNs or debating at the college level, or even organizing events, anchoring events. I'm a little bit of a singer. I do sing occasionally. So I think it sort of just adds up to it.
Okay. Tell us how you decided to go out of Lucknow and the choice of the college and the
Yes.
subject, and perhaps also why you decided to take a job now, what kind of job. So all these decisions, choices,
Yes,
it's that's you. Let's hear it.
definitely. So I was someone who had commerce with mathematics and economics in my 11th and 12th grade. And sir, I know you are, of course, a master in economics. And I also, had great fascination for the subject. So I wished to pursue, say, either an economics honors degree or a BCom honors degree. And I got into, number of institutions across the country for these particular courses. And fortunately or unfortunately, when our batch was to graduate, I think COVID was at its peak in India. So we did not have our board examinations. And for entry into DU and other central colleges, they require our board percentage. So we did not write our exams. Our percentage was based on a cumulative. I think the respective boards had different formulas. So they gave some weightage to our 10th grade board marks, some to our 11th grade, some to our 9th grade internal assessments. And they came up with a composite sum to determine our 12th grade percentage. So what we got was a sum of, what we had achieved in school throughout. And we didn't actually write the examination. I think we're perhaps the only batch that did
Yeah.
not write the examination. So our scores were handed out to us. And on the basis of that, the percentage that I had, gained, I was able to get admission into, of course, BCom honors and economic honors courses, even in Delhi University, but not in, say, uh, how do I put it, in the critically acclaimed colleges, you
Yeah.
know. So the option that I was getting at LSR was pursuing mathematics and computer applications. And those are subjects I enjoyed, but I hadn't envisioned myself pursuing a degree in them. But I think, COVID time was also so uncertain that I think Delhi University seemed very reliable to me as an idea. And my mother also happens to be from LSR. So just there was a degree of familiarity which I think motivated me.
Yeah.
And of course, I mean, I don't think there is any reason for, unless of course you have other ambitions, but I don't really haven't heard of anyone who's gotten into LSR and has not wanted to be there. So I think all of that sort of added up. And I was getting a few courses at Hindu as well, but I think the subjects that most suited me, they were found at LSR, and I decided to take a gamble to delve into something that I had not originally planned for myself. But for me, I think my priority was my college more than my course, because how I looked at it was I had this vague ambition of wanting to go into the financial sector or into the consulting space, because I was just about 17 at that time. At that time, you don't know how exactly these jobs and roles play out. You just have a vague direction which you're aiming for, right? And I thought that your degree is not a barrier when it comes to uh, these particular subjects, because, say, unlike a medical degree or a law degree, which is mandated to go into the requisite position, I think regardless of whether you pursue an economics honor or a statistics honors or a sociology honors, I think consulting is an overarching industry which accepts people from all backgrounds, because I think it's also so diverse in its nature. And just I thought it would be possible to reroute to that industry despite not having a commerce or an economics background. And luckily, it worked out for me that way. So I took a risk, and I tried my best, I think, throughout college to align my profile to the sector I was aiming for. Since I was aiming for finance, but I did not study economics or commerce, which I think correlate directly to the field. Although I did have mathematics, which works quantitatively. I did not have specialized knowledge of the sector. So I think through my internships and through my projects, I think that is something I tried to build for myself. And I was very lucky to intern at firstly an impact consulting firm, which was, I think, my first shot at what the consulting space looks like in my second year. And in my summer break, I interned at Deloitte, where I got a first-hand knowledge of what management consulting looks like at big firms. And then I decided to, sit for campus placements. And luckily, I was able to secure an offer from one of the companies on campus. So that it just played out that way for me.
Okay. And you mentioned that you were head of a society. I didn't understand it. So could you tell us about it?
Definitely. So I think a lot of students have spoken about Model United Nations or MUNs on your channel. So I was going through one of the Vidpeds. I think Shrime Rath, he also spoke about
Yes.
MUNs and
Yeah.
how he attended a conference at
Yes.
the New York headquarters of the United Nations, which is
Right.
wonderful.
Yeah.
But of course, I've not been able to achieve those heights yet. But MUNs is something that I take a keen interest in. It's an activity I've been pursuing since I was in about the 7th grade or the 8th grade, and it's something that I continued, by means of serendipity, even in college. And I was very fortunate to be elected the president of the society. And what appeals to me about what we do at LSR MUN Society, particularly, is that we try to provide a new dimension to MUNs, because although they are an exploratory space and you gain a lot of knowledge about, what agenda, whatever agenda you are debating, or about international law, the conventions that the UN has for particular topics that you're discussing, whether it's building consensus, whether it's public speaking, whether it's being able to sort of barter and negotiate with, your fellow committee members to, pay attention to your points and give heed to your solutions. I think MUN encompasses all of those activities. So it's very it's very well rounded in that nature, because there are multiple benefits that come to you. But there are, a few ills that accompany it. An example would be that it's fairly expensive. I mean, I remember, yes, as a school student, we paid a huge fee to participate in MUNs, anything ranging from, 2,000 rupees and upwards, which I think is not very affordable if we talk about India as a country, because that also it alienates a lot of people because of this barrier to entry. And also, apart from, say, I mean, there are of course simulations of Indian committees like the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha, but apart from these, the UN committees, they don't really are not simulated in other languages other than English. uh, Most of the times. It's very, very rare for them to be simulated bilingually or in a third language. So I think LSR Immune Society really found a way to my heart, because what we do at LSR is, firstly, we do not charge any fee for our MUNs. So they're absolutely free of cost, because we want to sort of, push for accessibility across the spectrum. And especially when we were, year after year inviting registrations for our conference, um, we had special requests from a lot of societies and a lot of individuals to participate in our particular conference, because if they were not able to participate at our forum, it's very rare for them to have a replication of this opportunity because of the sort of cost barrier involved. So I think that really motivated us to pursue this, very ambitiously. And the second thing we do is we try to make it multilingual. We've been trying for a few years. We've been able to make it bilingual successfully. So we simulate all our committees in Hindi as well as English. And multilingualism is something we're still, working with. Apart from this, another lovely, segue of the LSRMN Society, which has a very special place in my heart, is an NGO committee that we host. So of course, gap. There is a gap in terms of access, financial access, and linguistic, comfort. But also, information is so rarefied, because information is about how the UN works, about all of these topics, whether we're talking about human rights or we're talking about conflict zones. It's the discussion for some reason does not permeate to other levels of society. It, becomes concentrated in a particular section. And we were thinking about how we can sort of bridge this gap. And because it's not easy to enter into MUN straight away, because it's very heavily jargonized. When you sit in a committee, like the real UN, we try to simulate it as close as possible, right? And they have a set procedure. There is a roll call, then there is a general speakers list, there is a moderated caucus, there's an unmoderated caucus. So it's very procedural, and you have to be very accurate with the procedure. Although it's just a means to navigate debate, but because there is so much jargon involved, people tend to get intimidated, and there's this fear of not wanting to try because you are not familiar with the landscape, as opposed to someone who's been pursuing it for a very long time. Um, so to sort of bridge this gap, we partner with NGOs. I think for the past few years we've been partnering with Child Rights in You, which is a prominent NGO in the country, and we train underserved children in how MUNs work. We select a topic for them. We make a training guide, and we host training sessions with them, telling them how to go about researching the topic, how to frame their arguments, how to go about public speaking, uh, how to navigate an MUN, what is that procedure, what does it look like, and more importantly, instilling in them in the confidence to put forward their views. And then we're able to then at the day of the conference, along with our conventional committees, we also simulate a specialized committee for them where they're able to express themselves. And luckily, last year we were able to do something quite unique. We were able to get the American Embassy on board for the same. So we simulated it at the American Center in New Delhi. So, it was a collaboration between LSR Immune Society, CRI, and the US Embassy. So I think that is some that would definitely be a highlight of my college journey, because interacting directly with diplomats is an opportunity that we as students also uh, get very rarely. It's
Yeah,
not easily accessible,
yeah.
and to see the children get access to these opportunities, that I would like to think, if we had not stepped in, it would be a little difficult to obtain. I think it just meant a lot to all of us, and it also meant a lot to the children, because at the end of the process, when the committee was over, they'd received their awards. A lot of them, even last year when I was with them, a lot of them, burst into tears. And it just, I think, goes to show that the opportunity means so much, and the capability is, I think, definitely there. It's just, I think we owe it to them to make those opportunities, for them, and we just try in our own, own small way.
Okay, wonderful. Um, Now, can you perhaps, if you want to, talk
Yes.
about why you didn't want to do a master's degree and wanted a job?
Definitely.
It's a
I
decision that many people make, and I think the
Of
juniors
course,
will be happy to hear your views.
sure. Uh, to put it simply, I think at the towards the conclusion of my second year, I was also very confused, and I did not know what path would be the optimum for me. Uh, and What I think I had made my peace with is that I need to have one goal, because if you have multiple goals and you try to achieve them simultaneously, I think that just leads to more chaos and confusion. So I think the first step was that I had to decide for myself if I wanted to pursue a master's, or if I wanted to, go after and look for a job, or if I wanted to do something else entirely, apply for a fellowship or whatever it was. And I think gaining clarity on that front is most important. And I thought, because up till now, at least, what I do plan for myself is to pursue an MBA degree. So I thought it might be valuable to get at least a year and a half work experience before going into education, because you have highly experienced people in master's programs. And I think going off, fresh from one college to another without having an opportunity to apply your knowledge was not something I thought would be viable for me, because I think it's important to put yourself in the position and first experiment that does this path that I've chosen for myself even work out for me. Of course, I'd had the opportunity to intern at a couple of consulting firms, but internships, for me at least, lasted to about from 2 to 3 months, which I don't think is enough. A, time, B, responsibility, C, exposure to know if you can continue with this for the long haul. So I think it was important for me to give myself time and see if the path that I think is for me is actually meant for me. And I thought that you can always pursue a master's after a year of working also, so it's no barrier in that way. In fact, it just adds to it. Right. So I think I made my mind that I want to take up a job. And I thought that I have a decent profile. So if not on campus, we'll apply for off campus, we'll cold email, we'll reach out to people. And even if I don't get a job of, say, my preferred choice, I would be able to secure a job with some work experience that will overall add up. So I just decided to make up my mind that way, thinking something will eventually work out. Fortunately, it didn't come to that. And, one of the few companies that came to campus, I was lucky to get picked up. So it turned out well for me. But I think having clarity on what you want really, and why you want it, I think is something that worked for me. Because if you are not able to convince yourself, then it's very difficult to put in the hours to work towards it, because you don't know why you are aiming for what you're aiming. So I think having clarity on that front does provide a lot of perspective.
Okay, but this clarity, it came because of you or any help or advice from anyone, or is your own?
I think a lot of seniors that I'm very close to, and who guided me and what their profile and their journey looked like, they had a similar pattern. And I knew them personally, and I had the opportunity to ask them why did they choose to do the things the way they did. I think LinkedIn is a wonderful tool from that, because uh, of course in college you get exposure to two batches ahead of you, since we had at that point in time only a 3-year program. But I think on via LinkedIn and via sessions. We conduct a lot of sessions at LSR. So I had an opportunity to speak to senior alum who perhaps graduated 3 or 4 years, you know, before me, and how they had pursued their path. And a lot of them who had also gone directly into master's programs from college said, I wish I'd, given at least a year to work. Because then whatever you are learning, I think you're able to add a different perspective to it and see how it'll play out for you in the real world. And even those who had gone for their MBA after a certain amount of work experience said it definitely helped them rather than moving from one degree to another. So I think that sort of did advance the process.
Okay, so I get the point. Okay, there's the ability to talk to seniors and
Definitely.
to hear from them, and then make up your own mind yourself. Okay, where is in which
May
city is your
interject.
job going to be?
It's in Gurgaon, so fairly
Oh,
close
it's
to
in
Delhi.
Gurgaon. Okay,
Excuse
okay,
me.
yeah,
So if I may interject, I did have a question for you.
yeah.
So
Please.
I'm a very recent DU graduate, and I think you'll have to excuse me. I'm just getting a cough. Just give me a second.
Okay, sure, sure. Take your time.
Right. Yes. So I think all of us have certain inflection points in our life, and I think one of them definitely for me was LSR and by extension DU, because I think the environment it puts you in is not something I have experienced before this in my life. Because I think that's true for most schools. We go to a school where everybody is like us, comes from similar backgrounds. There is no real difference or no real nuance or diversity there. But I think a platform like Delhi University gives you exposure to so many people who are nothing like you, that it broadens your horizon in one go. And it's of course had a very significant impact on me. And I was, recently trying to understand why DU is the way it is, and you know how it shapes people the way it does. And I came across this book because I think last year DU celebrated centenary, which is 100 years.
Yeah.
And I in fact have it with me. I was just reading this on my site today. It's celebrating 100 years of Delhi University. It's edited by Hardeep Singh Puri. The foreword is by Amitabh Bachchan. And it just through the first few chapters, and these are written by, of course, alumni of the college, of the university, and they speak about their respective experiences, people who graduated almost 50 years ago before I did. And they talk about the progression of the university. But what I wanted to ask you was, you are also from DU. You happen to be a Stephens alum. And
Yes.
I know through this, bit that you've interacted with a lot of DU students. I think Ria is one of them. I also
Yes.
spoke to her about this.
Yes.
Uh, and how do you see things have changed? And why do you think, I do think DU is different from other universities because the scale is just so large. But I don't know how to articulate it. But if I'm in a crowd and I hear someone speaking, I think I can tell if they're from Delhi University or not. That distinguishing element is there. So how do you think that has changed over the years from your time, and how are they able to maintain their identity?
Well, okay, I'll try to answer this question. I think it's a valid question. First of all, there are only a few places that attract people from all over India.
Yes.
Okay, those certainly the IITs. They have
Yes.
people from all over the India. And then not only DU, of course, JNU doesn't have undergraduate programs. And now Ashoka University, Jindal, these places. So whenever you have people coming from different parts of India, then you get a different experience. It's not local, it's national. And, even for me, even in those days, you met people from different parts of India, Assam, Shillong, Kerala, which in Jaipur you couldn't meet, right? So you suddenly found that your friend is a Khasi. You didn't even know what is a Khasi. Now he's your friend. So obviously that point, that because Delhi is the capital, that people think that they should go there, and because people think they go there, then they go there, and that means other people know that they should go there. It's like a rolling thing, okay?
Mm.
That people
Yes.
come from all over India, that means the next generation people come from all over India. Basically, that has happened only after independence. Okay. Before independence, travel across India was very difficult and very rare. And you certainly didn't have so many people coming from all over, but that's too long ago. But by the time just after independence, and especially once, and the IITs were always all India right from the start. So whenever you have an institution that draws people from all over India, they turn out different. They just turn out different. And then the problem of the IITs is that it's very narrow. Narrow meaning your engine. Today they teach all sorts of things, but they were engineering. But then again, the width is not there. The breadth is not there. That okay, I'm from the same town, but this person is doing psychology. I'm doing computers. So that broadening of the scope is not there in IIT. So place like DU still has that advantage of exposing you to different parts of India and different subjects. Of course, you don't get engineering, which is a loss in a way, but then you did mathematics. So the logical thinking of engineering is there in your mathematics too, and you did computer. But yeah, you're missing out on that part. And in my times, what the engineers knew used to be very different from what the non-engineers knew, because there was no way to have the same knowledge, the same crowd and all. So, but that is what was always meaning, I'd say, some after independence, the people coming to Delhi, money had come. So the day DU had that integrative facility right from those days. Okay. Of course, DU also at that time didn't have all the facilities that the young people now have. The technology wasn't there, the money wasn't there, and both of those were constraints. There was only so much you could learn and so much you could do compared to today. And what I find in talking to the young people is, and I get a biased sample, it's not representative sample, that they're taking full advantage of those new technologies. So actually now they've outlived DU. As you said, DU, if you think of it as a place that teaches, but what's really attractive in DU is that it has societies and internships. And that's what's making DU today. That you can, if you go to Kanpur, you don't have those internships and you don't have those societies. But what makes DU so good today for attracting young people is, yeah, the courses, that's okay. But, I'll get these internships, I'll get these societies. And the colleges have the money. Like you said, we could do it for free. Okay, why? Because your college supported you, right?
Definitely.
Or you could find somebody else to support you. So that, I think, is the big advantage for students today. And what's good, what I've heard from talking to so many young people is that at least the people who talk to me, they are taking full advantage of this. Right? And in contrast, in our time, the courses were not difficult, because as always, they're aimed at the average student at DU. And if you are in one of the, not, doesn't matter which college you are in, if you're one of the topper type students, the courses were easy. So what did you do in your spare time? You wasted it. Or you learned to do the crossword, or you learned to play cards, or you did that. But there's not much you could do. Maybe the college had some debating society, some dramatic society, but it was small stuff, because nobody had the money.
Yes.
The resources were not there, the money was not there to organize anything big. How would people travel? How would they come? Where would they stay? None of this was feasible. And of course, even till 7 or 8 years ago, in India, the video connections were not there. Now you are living in the post-pandemic video world. It's only 7 years. Actually, only 5 years that video is so cheap and so prevalent. So now
Yeah.
today DU has everything at its control. So I would say that is the by comparison. I mean, we uh, didn't have the resources. I mean, for us, a major challenge was even to find a pen to write the exam because we didn't have it.
Yes.
So a good pen to write the exam, which didn't leak on the paper, that was a big challenge.
Yes.
And how would you refill the ink halfway through? So those days are long gone, fortunately. And what I find is that people I talk to, and I made this point again and again now, is that young Indians are world class. Small group of those who are hardworking and motivated and ready to take advantage of the new technologies and new facilities and the new money that colleges have through their alums and so on. I mean, so it's good that that they are doing it, but you have to recognize the core of it is that
Yes,
you are getting this exposure of multiple courses and multiple types of people.
definitely.
So I would that it's too long an answer, but that's it. That's it from me.
I think that's a wonderful answer because I mean we've only observed what DU looks like, in the past 3 years. We wouldn't
Yeah,
have just of how it operated before. But like I think some things like don't change because in the current paradigm we have a few, how do I call it? Uh, Little idiosyncrasies of the university. Like for example, there is the Stephen Sindhu rivalry, which still continues. So was that also at your time or has it
I think
evolved?
it was there before my time.
Oh, really?
It was there long before my time. It's there, I think, since 1930s.
Wow, that's pre-independence.
Oh yeah, it's way old, and it can be nasty at times,
Yes.
but it's not really nasty in the long run.
Of course, as long as I think the competition remains healthy, which I think by and large it does in my experience.
Yeah, okay, yeah, fair enough. I mean, I have many friends from Hindu college, so it's not a problem. It's not a problem.
Yes.
Okay. But yeah, so I think that's the anyway. Sorry to talk on. Any question? Any more questions you have?
One thing that I, definitely, wanted to get some perspective on, I think it's a doubt that I face and a lot of, the people of my age that I interact with we have the same question because all of us have pursued our undergraduate education from India, and there is with foreign education being, I think, much more accessible than it was in the past, and also we have a number of scholarships now, and information is also available in plenty. So there is this desire to pursue a foreign education for the simple reason that it's a completely different experience, and the level exposure is man like definitely a degree higher than what we achieve in India because if in a DU you're meeting with people from different parts of the country, in a foreign country you would probably meet with people from different parts of the world. So it really broadens your horizon. Uh, so of course there is this desire to pursue a foreign education, uh, especially in your master's, since I think for most people it is their final degree. We don't have the same number of people who go on to pursue a PhD thereafter. Um, but I think the decision, of course, remains whether to, stay in the country, like for example, the US or the UK, for a couple of years, pay off your loans, and head back, or uh, sort of continue there. And I think a lot of it depends on personal preference. But from an economic perspective, I think one of the reasons that many people have cited in the recent past is that India is definitely growing as a market. So if you want to perhaps, have a business or try your hand at starting something of your own, it's probably better because the customer base is so huge here, and I think it's not going to become stagnant anytime soon, at least in my opinion. Is it a better idea to, pursue, say, a life outside of the country in developed nations, which of course I think would offer a higher quality of life, but in India, which I think has more growth potential? So, do you think we're at par with the global paradigm economically, at least opportunity wise for, you know, young people, or is there still a long way to go?
I think most people go back to India for personal reasons. The economic comparison becomes irrelevant or less important when it comes to personal, because people say, yeah, I'll not be as well off as I can be here, but I'll be better off socially, personally, emotionally. Okay, so that is, I think, the main factor. I think it's very clear that yes, India is growing and the market is growing, and you have better job opportunities today than you had 40, 50 years ago. But then you have better job opportunities abroad too than you had there 40, 50 years ago.
Right.
So relatively speaking, I don't think in absolute terms, yes, India is better than India 50 years ago, but absolutely this other countries are also better than they were 50 years ago. Okay, I mean, honestly, if you were Indian 50 years ago, there was nothing Indian in the US. Okay, today you can get everything Indian next door. And in fact, you can get more things Indian in our town than you can in India, because we get every part of India here in the shops, where you
Definitely.
can't get every part of India in any shop,
Definitely.
even in a small town, say Lucknow. If you want some food from small town in Maharashtra, you won't get it. Chances are you'll get it.
Definitely.
So that way, life is become better than it used to be. The constraints aren't there, and the incomes are pretty high. So in the end, the economic and financial is pretty clear that India is better, but India can't compare
Definitely.
in financial terms and
Right.
also in quality of life terms. Yes, some things are faster, uh, like uh, home delivery in India is incredibly faster
Yes.
than anywhere
We
else.
have 10 minutes now. We have
10
instant
minutes
delivery.
is incredibly faster than anywhere else. But that all depends upon having low wage workers in the city. And, it also means a lot of congestion so that there's plenty of demand just in the local area. Then the shops can open up in the local area. So you're paying the price in terms of density, and you are paying the price in terms of low income people who can serve these dense people very quickly from the shop nearby. They don't have to go to Connaught Place to give food in South Delhi. Okay, there's
Right.
enough demand in South Delhi because of income density. And you have the low wage workers who not so low wage, but they can come. Okay, good. So you have a good life. Okay, but
Yes.
I'm saying that look, in terms of other things, there's still differences. And it's a very personal choice. Usually people make their choice based on their personality and their family links and so on.
Right.
And that's really where the difference is. As to the broadening, yes, it's there. And it's inevitable, it's there. I don't think that broadening is the driver. I think that broadening is just the side benefit of your
Yes.
education abroad. The education system also teaches you more to think rather than
Right.
to learn. There's a
Yes.
difference between thinking and learning, and that is mostly missing in India, how to think.
Especially, I think, in public universities, if I may say so.
I don't know about the private universities. Okay, so anything else I can answer for you? Otherwise, anything else you want to add here?
No, I think so. It was, great to have this opportunity for you. But like one last question, just out of curiosity, uh, of course, as you very rightly mentioned in the beginning, it's very important to listen,
Yeah.
because I personally believe that there is anyone and everyone, in fact, in the world knows something better than you. So you always have, something to learn, regardless of who you're speaking to or who you're learning it from. But just curious that how did you come up with, what was the tipping point for you to begin with this initiative?
Well, okay, there are two tipping points. One is that since very even young high school days, I've been a bit of a nonconformist.
Okay.
Okay. Nonconformist means actually it's driven not by nonconformism as such, but by getting some fresh ideas all the time. And that means you can't be conforming to a model in which you are in one groove, because you think of something. So way back before my cohort had established links with young people through what you call social media, I had done it. Way back in 2016, 17, 18, 19, I had links with young people in colleges and so on through Quora.com. LinkedIn was not so popular, but it was there. And it was also working with an NGO looking after some younger people, not so well educated. It was clear that the young people are very good in India today compared to other times because they were taking full advantage of the technologies.
Right.
Okay. So that was in my mind. And it was also in my mind that the older generation doesn't understand this because they are used to young people being ignorant because that's what they were when they were young. And that they don't give full access to the young people. And they keep saying, oh, their attention span is short, they don't read, they see videos, they see, it's all, they aren't like us. Okay. Guys, is stupid. That if you want to know, so I created this channel to give my views to young people on economic matters, be honest. That's the point. But then, I mean, I wake up with ideas almost every other day or something like that. I woke up one day and said, where are the young people if this channel is for the young people? And I said, no, I can create a channel. I can turn this channel over to them because they're good. And this way I will give a chance to young people to talk. That's all. And I boiled it down to two simple words that current system is seniors talk and juniors listen.
Of course.
Okay, so I flip it. Juniors will talk, I will listen.
Oh, nice.
Simple. And then work out the details. I said, no, the young people will work out the details themselves. Why the heck should I work anything out? Since I had a contact with several young people already, I asked them, will you do it? And it was very difficult in the beginning for them to get it because there was no example anywhere in the world. They said, sir, we'll search on Google. I said, you won't find it. They couldn't find it. They said, what am I supposed to talk about? I said, whatever is on your mind, you come and talk to me about it. So we did it, and then I let it evolve organically. And then it was clear that we have my hunches were right. That young people, there's a sub-sample of young people who are very good, very qualified. They can come and speak and talk, and they will getting a chance. And they'll take the chance. So that was it. There was no planning, no discussion with anybody, because anybody I talk to, they try to push you back into the conventional mode. Okay. Oh, you should ask questions. I said, what am I going to ask a 20-year-old? I don't know.
Awesome.
I'm 50 years older than them. I lived in the US. What the heck can I ask? That's stupid. So let me not ask. And no time limit. All these just break the rules because I'm non-conformist. Just ignore them. And let's try it. And it has worked. It has worked. So the thing is that in the end, what it means is that think from first principles. Don't look at what's happening. Look at it from the first principle. First principle is young people are very good. Young people are not being listened to. Okay, those are your basic facts. Based on those two basic hunches, you say, okay, I'm going to change the situation. Because I'm an economist, I know the future of India's progress depends upon these young people. I'm an economist. I want India to prosper. If these people don't get a chance and they don't become productive and they don't, how can it happen? So I said, okay, nobody else is going to do it. I am tech savvy, to be honest, always have been. So we do it. And here we are. I had no plans, no desires, no decisions, nothing. Don't let details come in your way when you have a big goal. Don't let people tell you, have you worked out your details? I say, no. We'll work out the details as we go along.
Definitely.
Don't care about the details. People say, how will you get more people? I say, I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to think about it. I know 50 young people. Let me get started. Okay. So don't let people bog you down with minutiae. When you're going to do something new, have faith. You'll fail sometimes, fail, no problem. Right? Try something new every day. Give it a shot if you can. So that's how this channel came up. And now I think for me, it's a bit of a, what should I say, a conundrum. I hate it when I've succeeded because then there's nothing new in it.
Of course.
There's no challenge.
It falls back to a pattern. Everything comes down to a pattern.
Yeah. So if it's become a pattern, then it's time for me to find something new. But I will do this and it will continue. And by the way, we should soon hit the YouTube benchmarks for enough audience that when they put ads, they'll share some of the money with me.
Oh, how nice.
I had no idea. But then somebody told me, Subodh, your scale is so high. Maybe they'll, and I looked, we are pretty close to, I'm about 5% from the benchmark.
Wow.
It's pretty close. So we will have enough scale and we will make it. And I hope other people copy the idea because the slogan now is a voice for all.
Yes.
That's a voice for all.
And I think that reflects in the diversity of all the people who, do come on the channel.
Yeah, and the other day, one of my friends said, Subodh, there's no theme in your channel. I said,
Yes.
this is what you don't understand. The theme is it's a voice for all. Okay, so otherwise the conformist, okay, it's a dentist association, it is an architects association. Why narrow yourself? Voice for all. So you go from age, the youngest person I've had is age 17. The oldest person is age 75.
Wow. That's a broad spectrum.
He was in grade 12, but he came on, spoke very well, 17 years old to 75. And from first year BA students to a retired lieutenant general, whom I have no personal contact with. Because he also said, oh, I'll get a chance to speak for 1 hour. I said, yes, sir. I want to. So we need to give a voice to all, young and old, accomplished, not accomplished, small town, big town, and hopefully we, as you said, you want it to be multilingual. Hopefully we will have this channel in many Indian languages. Okay, so I think we should end it here today. It's a very long recording, but let's say bye to the viewers and thank you so much.
Okay? Thank you so much for having me. It was wonderful.
We will talk after this, okay?